What's impossible in your life? Go after that. Have that. Goals are important. Passion is important. Waking up in the morning and having an excitement about the day is important. You're here not by choice. You're led to this. And I believe we all have a destiny. We're all supposed to do something in our lives.
My favorite quote of all time by T.S. Eliot: those willing to risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Notice that it says those willing to risk. You have to risk failing. You have to risk getting mocked. You have to risk your safety and security if you want to find out how far you can go. If you want to find out how many lives you can touch. If you want to find out what it tastes like at the top, you have to be willing to risk going too far.
And that's what's painful, is that it takes more effort to start in the beginning, and more people are right about the fact, they're like, hey, you're not going to hit it big. And guess what? A month in, you're not. But they're only measuring on months. And at 6 months, you're also not going to hit it big yet. And they're going to be like, I'm still fucking right. And at a year, you're still not going to hit it big. And they'll still be fucking right. And every day that you haven't hit it, they're going to feel like they were right. But they're wrong, because they're measuring in days and you're measuring in decades.
To get anywhere in life, you have to work extremely hard and you have to be disciplined. If you wanted to be a great piano player, there's no drug you can take, there's no self-help book, there's no guru. You got to spend 5 years, 10 years learning it until it becomes something that's second nature. There are no shortcuts. You see after a few years that an incredible pleasure happens where now you have mastery of this piano and you can play things you could never play before. Suddenly the whole thing opens up, this whole new universe. And that's the paradigm for everything meaningful in life. If you learn something well, if you learn a craft and you master it, it can bring you a far greater pleasure than any kind of drug or any kind of going out to a party or socializing. But you have to be patient and you have to not be afraid of boredom. You have to not be afraid of the effort.
You know, there's something powerful that once you just sort of embrace the fact that in order to achieve something big, you've got to get rid of these distractions. You're probably going to have some suffering to get there or some sacrifice to get there. Suffering and sacrifice and hard work is an indication of progress towards our dreams. The lack of sacrifice, the lack of suffering in our lives, its removal, its non-existence also equates to a non-existence of a great life. A non-existence of a dream happening. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether we're supposed to. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream. See, at the gym, you never think, oh, I'm going through some pain and discomfort. This must be a sign I shouldn't be at the gym. You'd never think that. In fact, the indication of the pain and sacrifice and sweat, don't you feel better at the gym? You're like, wow, I really sacrificed today. I really suffered. So in that area, we all know to the extent we suffer and sacrifice is to the extent we grow.
Don't get better automatically. You only get better because you intentionally make a decision to get better. You have to go from being a person of good intentions to a person of good actions.
Life doesn't happen to you. We all think that life happens to me, right? In fact, the only difference between most of you and me, the only difference between me and you is I wanted it more. I wanted it more. Opportunities will come to you every day. It's either for you, you can remain scared of the opportunities, or you can embrace them and take them.
You need to push yourself past good. Good is not enough. What are you going to do that's going to be different, you understand? What is different within you? There is something deeply different about you. Because a lot of the times, our biggest obstacle is ourselves. You are in your own way. And it just takes a perspective shift to implement into our day. And the next thing you know, we're transforming.
I wish more people were more gentle with themselves and more forgiving. You don't have a lot of people in life that are going to come and fight for you. It bothers me to my core when I see people be negative on themselves, be hard on themselves, not be a fan of themselves. If you're not a fan of yourself, nobody's going to be a fan of you. If you don't fight for yourself, nobody's going to fight for you. It really bothers me, the victim mentality that people have. And if you can escape that victim mentality, you can tap into the opposite side, which is hope.
When you start stacking those wins, with each win comes a higher price. You have to pay a little bit more. Some days you pay a little less, Some days you pay a little, some days you pay a little bit more. When winning is looking at you and it's saying, this is what I need you to focus in on, can you go all in on that, or are you busy still kind of looking out of the corner of your eye? You can't do anything to the fullest extent, to its best capabilities, if you're already thinking about something else or you're thinking about next.
Because if you wanted it bad enough, you'd make it happen. Just shows your true desires. Otherwise, something more important will always come up. The truth is, if it's on your mind, you're probably as ready as you'll ever be. If you don't make time for your dreams, you'll be forced to make time for your regrets.
A fear is going to be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear.
Don't stop, don't dwell on the past, because a lot of times when we dwell on mistakes, when we dwell on certain decisions we've made that already happened, it keeps us there, it keeps us stuck there. Now we're taken away from this moment that we have right now, this moment that we have to bring intention to this moment, to bring gratitude to this moment, to focus on taking the next right step instead of looking backwards and staying stuck in a place that we don't have anymore.
Fast forward 20 years. Are you going to look back at your time and think, I probably should have done anything? If you know that in a year, you think you're going to say, okay, I probably should have been doing this, or man, I probably shouldn't have been doing this so much, that is not a good feeling to have.